The Animal, Part 6. The next morning, the training began. Hidden within the foliage behind some of the trees was a large hut. Atandra casually walked towards it, carrying a large wooden cane that had a satchel full of pebbles at the end, and motioned for the young boy to enter the hut. Once inside, he couldn't see a thing but pitch black darkness. Alright, are you listening? Yes, I am. You and I are gifted with having these things called the five senses. These involve hearing, sight, touch, taste, and smelling. It is important that you hone each of these far beyond humanly possible. The primal grass allowed you to take some of these steps and evolve these senses. We just need rigorous training to unlock them. Like this one. A small clatter filled the air. You hear that? Yes? How about this? I'm waiting. I already threw it. What? What did you throw? I just threw a piece of cotton. To me, it was like hearing a stone falling on the floor, while to you, it was silent. Sound is broken up into two parts, the source and the object. This exercise will help you know where the noise is coming from. By the time you are done with this section, you will be able to hear the quietest of sounds. Now, let's begin. You simply have to pinpoint the direction where the sound is coming from. And if you don't, I'm going to hit you with this. A piece of wood clacked across the floor. And every time that happens, we gotta start the count all over again until we reach to 50. Alright, let's do it. Then the training started. He was able to pinpoint the first 6 with relative ease. One near his right foot, another far away from him, but gradually the sounds became softer. They became so soft, he started second guessing himself. Did that sound come from behind the left or in the back? A blunt force strikes his backside. Ah! He cried in pain. Well, we have a few more hours of this, so you better listen real good. Thus the tournament began. Adam would receive a strike on his backside every 6 to 7 pebbles. After the 10th strike, the boy would cup his hands and place them around the outer rims of his ear and focus. It was useless, for the cane still struck. Whenever a 6th or 7th pebble dropped, he nervously anticipated a strike coming. The pain grew too much to bear, and he began shielding his butt with his small little hands. The cane continued striking, leaving a lingering stinging feeling on the knuckles. Within 3 hours, his ass was raw and sore, and the knuckles were bleeding with the skin torn away. It was high noon when the training ceased. The long droning of the cicadas echoed through the forest, while Atandra sat hunched over a fresh kill of a large hairy elk. Come, have a seat. She waved Adam over mockingly. Very funny, he replied while rubbing his butt. He ripped a large chunk of flesh that was dangling from the carcass and chewed on it slowly. Here, this is for your butt. She handed him a large turtle bowl that had a greenish chalky paste. He scooped a liberal amount with his fingers, rubbed it against his bony knuckles, and slipped it into the backside of his pelt. Immediately the stinging subsided and he sighed in relief. So how am I supposed to hear this? He pointed at the sack that is mixed full of cottons and pebbles. You just gotta listen. Take a slow, deep breath and clear your thoughts. Just focus and visually picture where the pebbles are coming from. If you do this, then you can really focus on where the sound is coming from. But I was focusing really hard. Oh really? She said, gripping the cane firmly. Then why couldn't you hear the 6th pebble or the 7th? Because I know that the stick was coming. My point exactly. The problem is not in your hearing, it is with this. She waved the stick at his face. I bet you were picturing this stick hitting your bottom, right? Adam paused for a brief moment, then confirmed the theory with a nod. If you make things visually happen in your mind, then it will simply manifest. If I were you, I would just actively listen and picture in the best detail, then it will slowly but surely come to you. Yeah, right. Try it out now. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath for 5 seconds, hold for another 5 seconds, and breathe out gently for the final 5 seconds. Do this for a good minute, and you are sure to improve. She placed the stick down and grabbed a handful of pebbles. Whenever you are ready, and keep them closed. Alright, fine. Adam did as instructed, steadied his breath for a good minute, and began to visually picture where the pebbles could possibly land. Then with a nod, the experiment began. One small pebble ricocheted off a log, another crashed through the thick shrubbery, one after another, until he reached the dreaded number 6. He gulped in a piece of air, and felt his heart still steady as ever. A loud thunk smacked against the bark of the tree that was far behind him. Then there was an 8th, a 9th, a 10th. Then gradually the sounds of the stones striking the earth began to silence, until by the 13th pebble there was no sound. Open your eyes. She was grinning at the short progress. See what a difference it makes by actively listening and visually imagining it? In just a few minutes, you were able to double what you heard. Now you just need to practice more. Then with that, they entered the small hut and resumed the odd practice. After the short lesson, Adam's progress grew rapidly. Within a week, he could detect 30 stones, and after another, it went up to 50. The next morning, Adam woke up to a tundra hunched over him with a handful of cotton balls. What is it? Your next bit of training. The object. She squeezed one over his head. There was no sound coming from it. Now get up and listen. Can you imagine the sound that they make? Try and visualize it, Adam. She continued to rub the cotton between her index finger and thumb. To me, it sounds like the scraping of bark. Here, try it out. She threw it at Adam, who caught it and brought the soft cotton to his ear. There was a muffled scraping sound that was barely audible, and it took every ounce of concentration to register the noise. Keep doing that until it is as loud as lightning. I got some other things I gotta do. Check back with you in 3 days? Great. I'll see ya. Without waiting for a reply, she leapt into the air, vanishing into the canopy of the trees high above. Predictable, Adam muttered. Throughout the rest of the morning, he held a piece of cotton close to the outer rim of his ear. The noise was still the same, even with a day of listening to it. Bored with the activity, he decided to hunt to occupy some of the time, and within an hour, he spotted his target. Treading quietly among the foliage was a deer, walking among the long grass. He silently hoisted the spear over his shoulder, extended an arm, closed one eye to ensure that his target was locked on, and then quickly threw the missile. Before the gentle creature knew what hit it, the spear immediately tore through the stomach. It cried in pain, collapsing in a fit of writhing agony onto the grass. Adam lunged forward and bit through the hindquarters of the beast, and slowly the cry became silent, with the thrashing gradually ceasing, until the body went limp. He ate until his belly was full of meat, and with the spear, he severed a generous portion of the hindquarters to eat for later, and made his way back to camp. For 2 days, he continued pressing against the ear. The cotton continued to shuffle between the long, slender fingertips. Steadily, the noise seems to increase. The subtle, inaudible sound grew louder until on the 3rd day, the sound was comparable to that of crashing thunder cutting across the sky. Once again, he grew bored and decided to collect some berries off of some nearby bushes to pass whatever time was left before Atandra came back. When he placed the cotton down, there was a sudden rustling of blades of grass. Panicking, M quickly looked around, alerted at the presence of some animal that was drawing near. But there was no one, however. What could be causing that sound? He followed the noise a mile within the lush forest. The rustling was growing louder and was accompanied by shallow, deep breaths. M spied the culprit of the noise from the safety of the bushes. It was a black bear treading through the forest floor, sniffing the grassy ground and occasionally glancing upward. Even though he was a few dozens of meters away, he could hear the animal's noisy breath, as if it was breathing right next to him, and the shuffling of its feet against the small blades of grass caused an even louder racket. It wasn't just the sound of the bear though. He could hear the humming of the bees, the clopping hooves of the deer, the clacking of clashing horns of the buffalo, and some large footsteps breaking some branches. Cool. So this is what she was getting at. He smiled at the direction of where he hears the person quickly approaching. Atandra crashed through the high trees and landed before him in the grass. Ah, so you heard me coming, yes? That's good. 1 sense down and 4 more to hone. Are you ready for the touch and sight? Hell yeah! He exclaimed excitedly. Good. Climb on my back. We gotta go somewhere. He took the boy miles deep within the massive network of caverns. It was pitch black, much darker than the tent. He could hardly see a thing. The new power of hearing allowed Am to not only hear Atandra dragging her feet along the dusty, dirty floor, but to listen to the many hundreds of species that called the cavern their home. To master this sense of touch and sight, you simply have to wander around your environment and try to see through the darkest part of the island. You just gotta make your way out of the cave. This training will be a piece of cake. I can just hear my way out. Now remember, and this is very important, Adam, like the first lesson was listening, you have to focus on your surroundings and just feel them out. Do not panic. Remember to breathe and allow your senses to evolve naturally. In due time, your eyes will permanently adjust to the darkness and light. Are you ready? Oh, and no listening. Alright. Wait, what? Then there was an ear-shattering scream that was so loud it emitted a violent gust of wind, knocking him onto his backside. The powerful noise left the boy disoriented and stunned, for all he could hear was a loud, steady ring that did not cease to end. "This is a new low, even for you, Atandra!" Adam shouted while sitting still, waiting until the dizziness fades away. Once again in control, he attempted to navigate through the impenetrable darkness, but his attempts were always met with bumping into a wall, sharp rocks puncturing his skin, or almost falling into many pits. The ringing in his ears only worsened the situation that already greatly annoyed him. If stepping might get me stabbed, then shuffling probably will help me out, he thought. He slowly swept 1 foot after another, traversing through the cave and brushing aside the sharp pebbles. Within half an hour, gray shapes started to appear. One looked like a tangled mess of twigs and roots. With his ears still ringing, Adam reached out to grip the branch firmly, snapped it at the base, and used it as a walking stick. Come on, you can do this. And with that, he resumed going deeper into the cold, lonely belly of the cave with only a cane to help him feel the way. Thank you so much for looking at my content, and be sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and the notification so you know when it's out. Yeah, so thank you so much once again, and peace.